How's it going, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to a brand new test hand video for Marincess. This build is featuring more of the level 4 spam heavy build, and I wanted to go ahead and showcase you guys how I play it and how it operates. I know I just recently uploaded a Marincess vs Mech Knight live duel. There were a few mistakes in that video, so I do apologize. Of course, always striving to be better with every video. And that build in that video is different than this build. This build does have Silent Angler in it, and I did switch up some of the traps as well. Extra deck, somewhat the same, I believe. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and do about 4 or 5 test hands. This will be helpful for some people that are newer to the deck. And just a good chance to talk about the deck in general with those that are very familiar with it. So, yeah. Before we go any further, of course, if you guys want to help support the channel, you can by checking out Imperium Duelist down at the link below. Provider of this amazing playmat here, these sleeves I'm using as well, or even some of these really cool dice themed after classic spells and traps like the MST dice here and the Scapegoat, maroon colored die. They got tons of other cards like Regeki, Harpy's Feather Duster, Solemn Judgment, a whole wide selection. They've got a whole collection on their site, and tons of other amazing TCG accessories. So again, if you want to support the channel, you can get all this stuff on their site for 10% off using that discount code WINNERKILLS10OFF, and get some great products at a discount and also support the channel. And if you guys are shopping on TCG Player, do not forget to use my affiliate link to them down in the description below. It's that first link in the description. Anytime you guys buy cards using that link, I will receive a small portion of the revenue from your purchase. It'll go right back into the channel, and it does help out quite a bit. So those are just a few ways to support. Also, consider becoming a member by clicking that blue join button down below to get in on some exclusive perks and rewards. But I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the deck here, and we'll run through some test hands. I'm also going to be showing the profile at the end, just a quick overview, my thoughts with the deck, where I plan to take it, and my current issues with it, I guess, or if anything is discovered, of course, during the video. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle here, then we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, the deck is shuffled. We'll give it a quick cut and draw into our first hand. And we draw a copy of Marincess Seahorse, Ash Blossom, and Joyous Spring, Paleozoic Dynamiscus, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, and a copy of Pot of Desires. So this hand is looking pretty good. Now, I know there really isn't many Marincess cards in this hand. There's only just Seahorse, but sometimes Seahorse is really all you need. And we've got plenty of interruption for the following turn. And if we also happen to go second, we're not completely silent on our opponent's turn. We do have a few forms of interaction. Now, with this hand, the only thing we're really worried about losing off the Desires is the field spell. But that really isn't sort of a make or break it. So I'm going to go ahead and actually resolve the Desires here to start. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And we draw 1, 2. We draw a copy of Wave and Call By. Call By would actually be pretty helpful here. Let's go ahead and see what we banished. So a Blue Tang, Seahorse, a Angler, and a Shatana. Sign Up Mining, Double Strike. Not too bad, actually. Not too bad at all. Definitely could be worse. And we did pick up a Call By the Grave, and importantly, a copy of Wave in the process. Obviously trying to draw a copy of, Blue Tang, but we will take the 2 extra cards here. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and normal summon the Seahorse. We don't have any effects to activate on the summon, so really don't have to worry about getting hand trapped right there. This would be the one point where getting hand trapped would hurt quite a bit, because if they did have Ogre or Veiler here, or even like Ghost Mourner, that would stop our play. But luckily for us, we have Call By the Grave. We're just hoping they don't have Gamma or Impermanence. Those pesky hand traps seem to be very, very powerful at the moment. But either way, we would add back the Seahorse here. And granted, if we did get stopped here with an Imperm or a Gamma, we still have some interruption in our hand to keep going with. But either way, let's say we burn a Call By there on something like a Ghost Ogre or a Ghost Mourner, whatever it may be. We can go ahead and special summon the Seahorse, and then go ahead and link it off for a copy of that Sea Angel. This is where we're going to go ahead and grab our field spell. And obviously a very important part of the strategy is the field spell, so we can make our monsters either unaffected or give them a nice attack boost. Get cards equipped to it like Anemone that we can use to constantly keep triggering its graveyard effect to recycle resources. So once we do that, we're going to go ahead and link the Sea Angel and the Blue Slug into a copy of Anemone. We're going to go ahead here and use the effect of Anemone to revive Seahorse. And really from there, that's all we can go ahead and do. The next thing we're going to do is link these after we play our Battle Ocean, importantly, because this is the time where we're going to want it in play for the next card we're about to summon, and that is the Marbled Rock. We have a few chain links to activate here. Chain link 1, Coral Anemone. Chain link 2, Battle Ocean. And we're going to equip the Anemone, the Sea Angel, and the Slug. And then Anemone will resolve and go ahead and grab us the Seahorse back to our hand. Now, we don't need to, per se, equip all 3 of these. We could take more of a conservative route and, per se, like, leave the Blue Slug engrave and only equip 2. And that way, after we've, resolved our chain links here with Anemone and Battle Ocean, we can use Marbled Rock to put the Blue Slug back into our extra deck to use later on. Because, trust me, managing your extra deck resources in this deck is very, very important. And look at this. We already have essentially 4 interruptions as it stands. The wave we can activate from hand. We have a copy of Ghost Ogre, which, with this particular situation, if we've called by their Ghost Ogre, the Ghost Ogre then becomes good discard fodder for our Paleozoic Dynamiscus, so we don't need to really worry about being turned off since we need a discard target anyways for Dynamiscus. So we would set this here, and we have an Ash and a Wave in hand, and we also have a Seahorse now we can use for Marbled Rock's effect if we need to negate an attack, of course, in the battle phase. So that is it for that test hand. Pretty solid. That was literally with just Seahorse and drawing basically no other engine pieces. Just Seahorse with a lot of trap interruption and hand trap interruption and a little bit of protection from Call by the Grave. And of course, Pot of Desires helping us to get there. So let's go ahead and continue on to our next test hand. We're going to go ahead and reshuffle and start over. Alright, I'm done shuffling. We'll go ahead and cut the deck here, complete the cut, and draw into our opening hand. We have a copy of Pot of Desires, copy of Solemn Strike, copy of Call by the Grave, copy of Ash Blossom, and a copy of Pot of Desires. Alright, so this is pretty weird. It's actually been pretty rare to not open up any Marincess cards the entire time I've been playing this build recently, but it is a possibility, and of course it had to show up here in this test hand video. So we do have to start with the Pot of Desires, and luckily for us, we did open a Call by the Grave. So if they do have an Ash Blossom here for us, we have at least a stop for it. This is just sort of my personal experience. I usually find that decks, save for a few decks that start their turn with that of Pot of Desires is usually like a good indicator that their hand may not be the best. Because, activating Pot of Desires as your first card indicates either you're playing something like Grenmaju where you don't really care what you banish, unless you banish all your Grenmajus. That's a problem, obviously, but you're getting a bunch of banished stuff to fuel your Grenmaju and all your banished shenanigans. But most deck usually will care about engine pieces, but at that point, you're just really desperate for a starter card. So let's go ahead and see what we banished. 2 Cyanet Minings, the other Pot of Desires, Silent Angler, Paskless, 2 Seahorse, Call by the Grave, a Wave. It's not so bad. I would say it's just about the same as the last hand. And let's see what we pick up. A copy of Mandarin and a copy of Strike. All right, so not the best hand whatsoever. This is very, very lackluster hand. I mean, we would just normal summon the Mandarin, link into, you probably guessed it, that of Blue Slug, add back the Mandarin, and really just end our turn setting double Solemn Strike, Call by the Grave if we didn't use it, and hold the Ash Blossom and this other Desires for next turn, and hopefully we draw into something. We draw into a Ghost Ogre, and yeah, that's just looking like a very, very rough hand. Very, very unlucky to not draw any Marincess cards other than Mandarin there. I think I'm only playing like 2 copies of Mandarin in this build. I was playing 3, but I've dropped it down to 2. I don't really like the idea of playing 1 Mandarin because I find Mandarin is still a really good extender, in some cases is needed to be able to go through and do the full combo where you're going into Crystal Heart and going into either the unaffected Marbled Rock or that of Bubble Reef. And as of late, I'm actually liking Bubble Reef more and more, especially if I can get to it by using that of Crystal Heart and Marbled Rock, because it just gets you so much advantage going into the next turn. You get the card back off Marbled Rock, you get the unaffected Bubble Reef, and you get the draw during your opponent's turn, which can draw you into discard fodder for things like your Dynamiscus, can draw you into things like Marincess Wave if you don't already have it, and it can of course draw you into hand traps. So that's one reason. It's just a fantastic card. So we're going to go ahead and reshuffle here and draw into our third test hand of the video. Alright, deck has been shuffled. We'll go ahead and cut the deck now and draw into our next hand. We have a copy of Mandarin, a copy of Ghost Ogre, a copy of Call by the Grave, a copy of Solemn Strike, and a copy of Marincess Wave. Alright, the deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and cut the deck now and draw into our third test hand here. We have a copy of Marincess Wave, a copy of Blue Tang, a copy of Seahorse, a copy of Solemn Strike, and a copy of Cyanide Mining. So we finally actually open some decent Marincess cards here. It's about time. So we do actually open up a Cyanide Mining with this hand, which is pretty interesting because, you know, what we can do here is essentially go grab Pascalis, discard the Seahorse, and then use our Blue Tang to get something like Mandarin to the graveyard to continue to extend further. And the thing about that is it's really not so risky, because if we are met with an Ash on the Seahorse or on the Cyanide Mining, we can still follow up with that of Blue Tang and, you know, continue to link further into our combo. So we'll go ahead and Cyanide Mining here, discarding the Seahorse, and we're going to go ahead and add Pascalis. Now, Pascalis could also, I suppose, be met with some interruptions like that of Valor or Imperm. Gamma would hurt quite a bit here. Gamma pretty much always hurts in these situations. But I would say, you know, looking at things like Imperm, Valor, or even Ghost Ogre are probably a bit more probable, I would say. But if we are hit with an Ogre, you know, we still get the Blue Tang to the field, so it's not a big deal. If we are hit with a Valor or Imperm, it's not such a big deal either, because we already have a Seahorse set up in our grave. And regardless if that gets stopped or not, you know, we still get the Seahorse to the grave, you know, by sending for cost. So it's not such a big deal if we are met with a hand trap on the Pascalis. So we'll normal summon Pascalis, and we'll go ahead and summon the Blue Tang. And we'll use Blue Tang's effect here to send that of Mandarin, which just happens to be placed on the bottom. Saves me a little time. So now we're going to go ahead and link off the Blue Tang, rather. And then we're going to use the effect of Blue Slug here. We'll go Blue Tang Chainlink 1, Blue Slug Chainlink 2. We'll target that of Seahorse, add that to our hand. Then we'll go ahead and reveal the top 3 cards of our deck: a Solemn Strike, a Pot of Desires, and a Ghost Ogre. So we miss, unfortunately. And for those curious about my hand trap lineup, currently is just 3 Ash, 3 Ogre, which I think is okay considering that we're also playing 3 Wave, which also acts, you know, like a hand trap, a pseudo hand trap in of itself. So from this point, we're going to go ahead and special summon the Seahorse here, and we'll link off the Seahorse into a copy of Sea Angel. We'll activate Sea Angel's effect here to go ahead and search out our field spell. Battle Ocean, we don't need to play that card just yet. Now we're going to go ahead and use Mandarin to summon itself out by targeting that of Seahorse. Now here, we're going to go ahead and link the Sea Angel and the Mandarin for Coral Anemone. Now here we have a few options. We can just revive any random Marincess in our graveyard and link it off with the Blue Slug for that of the Crystal Heart, and then play our field spell and just go right into Marbled Rock, and then, you know, even go up into the unaffected Bubble Reef, etc., etc. But we can go a little further by actually reviving the Blue Tang in our graveyard, overlaying it with the Pascalis that we still have left on our field for a copy of Bahamut Shark, detaching that of Blue Tang so we can get that back into the grave to add back for later, to summon a copy of Totally Awesome. Now, we still really don't lose out on link fodder here, because we can link that of Blue Slug and the Bahamut Shark, and then we can link into a copy of Marincess Crystal Heart. Now from here, we could either go into Marbled Rock or that of Bubble Reef, but I like Bubble Reef quite a bit, and we'll be able to get an add back in the process off of our Coral Anemone. And same thing with the Toad. If we use the Toad here during our opponent's turn, we can add back one of our Marincess cards as well. So we're not really missing out so much on the, you know, not going for the Marbled Rock. And it, of course, will save us the Marbled Rock, and obviously want to play our field spell here before we link into our Bubble Reef. But we can save our Marbled Rock for a later turn. So now we'll activate our chain links here. Anemone 1, Battle Ocean 2. And we can go ahead and equip the Anemone. We can go ahead and equip the Crystal Heart. And we can go ahead and equip the Blue Slug. We don't really care too much about the Sea Angel. It's decent to have, I guess, late game to give yourself like an easy link to go into that provides you a different arrow scheme, but that's pretty much about it. Maybe you don't want to put these here if you're fearful of Mech Knights, so you know, can kind of play around the column factor. But then of course we would resolve the effect of Anemone to add back that Blue Tang, so we have a normal summon for next turn. And then during the opponent's standby phase, we can banish Sea Angel, or we could just banish the Bahamut Shark to go ahead and draw one additional card. And of course we'd actually want to set the Solemn Strike, but in this case we draw into a copy of Ghost Ogre, which just adds to the amount of interruptions we have on our field. We have a Marincess Great Bubble Reef, which cannot, or is unaffected by card effects. We have an Omni Negate in that of Totally Awesome, and we also have the ability to make Totally Awesome unaffected by card effects, and we also have a Ghost Ogre in hand and a Solemn Strike to back everything else up. So pretty solid test hand there. Let's go ahead and wrap things up and do another one. Alright, shuffling complete. Let's draw into our fourth test stand of the video. We have a copy of Pot of Desires, Pascalis, Ghost Ogre, and Snow Rabbit, the Tenyi Spirit, Shatana, and a copy of Ash Blossom as our fifth and final card. So we don't really need to start our turn with the Desires, although I probably will. What we could do essentially is still special summon the Shatana, normal summon the Pascalis, link the Pascalis for that of the Blue Slug. We actually don't want to use the add back effect of here of Pascalis, because then what we could do, or the add back effect of Blue Slug rather, then we could link these two into a copy of Anemone. Anemone would revive the Pascalis. We would link the Pascalis into that of Sea Angel at our field spell, then go into the Marbled Rock there to finish out the combo. But we're going to play it out here by resolving the Desires. But that is what we could do with just those two cards. And that, of course, is leaving us with Ash and Ogre in hand, which is a pretty good coverall against most strategies. So let's go ahead and activate the Desires and hope that luck is on our side here. We'll banish 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And then we'll pick up 2 more cards. But let's go ahead and see what we banish first. Copy of Ogre, Strike, Silent Mining, Silent Anger, another Strike. The Blue Tang, Wave, Ash, Desires, and Called by the Grave. So we banished another Desires off that, which is pretty optimal. Now we'll go ahead and pick up 2 new cards here, and we draw that of Ash Blossom and Marincess Wave. So not much has changed there, other than we get Wave to our hand, which is actually pretty beneficial. So we're still going to start this turn by special summoning the Tenyi Spirit Shatana, normal summoning Pascalis, unfortunately for no effect. Another thing we could do here is potentially make Bahamut Shark and just go right into Toad if we really valued that, but that doesn't really seem like it makes too much sense to me. So we'll go ahead and link off the Pascalis for the effect of, or for the summon of Blue Slug, and we can go ahead and not use the add back effect here because we actually do need a level 4 or lower Marincess to go into that of Sea Angel. So we're not going to use the effect there, and instead we're going to link off the Shatana and the Blue Slug for a copy of Anemone, and Anemone is going to revive the Pascalis. We'll link off the Pascalis for Sea Angel. Luckily for us, we did not banish our field spell, so we'll go ahead and search that out now. Man, look at all of those other extenders and water cards and Marincess monsters we didn't draw off of that Pot of Desires. Man, the luck is just not on my side. We'll go ahead and play the Battle Ocean here. And we don't have really any other follow-ups at this point, so what we're going to have to do is link these into a copy of Marbled Rock. And then we're going to go ahead and activate our chain links here as follows. Chain link 1 Anemone, chain link 2 Battle Ocean. We're going to go ahead and just equip the Sea Angel and the Anemone. Anemone is going to add us back the Pascalis, and Marbled Rock is going to recycle back that Blue Slug to our extra deck. So really, with essentially only using 2 cards that play, 2 physical cards, we get, our main boss monster out. We've recycled pretty much one of the most important cards in our extra deck that we use this turn, and we recycled, a main, starter card for our turn. Still have 5 cards in hand, and 3 interruptions on top of that, because the Wave is live. We do have Ash, we do have Ogre, Pascalus can get us going next turn. And if the Anemone hits the grave, we can recycle the Sea Angel along with it. Or if the Marbled Rock goes, we can use the Anemone to recycle the, the Marbled Rock or the Battle Ocean back to our hand thanks to Anemone. And for turn, we draw a Blue Tang, which is pretty nice. Pretty good card to have there. Exactly what we needed to draw off that Desire. So let's go ahead and draw into our last test hand of the video and see if we can open up like Silent Angler and some other cool cards. Alright, that is it for shuffling. We'll go ahead and cut the deck and draw into our 5th and final test hand of the video, which is Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit, Silent Angler, Dynamiscus, Mandarin, and Cynet Mining. So this hand is actually looking pretty promising. We're going to go ahead and start with the Cynet Mining. An Ash here, unfortunately, would be very unfortunate, as there's not much we can do with just following up with the Silent Angler. But let's just hope our Cynet Mining goes through, and we'll add a copy of Blue Tang. Blue Tang will activate its effect now to go ahead and send Seahorse. And then once we control a water monster, we can go ahead and special summon the Silent Angler. And then we can link off the Blue Tang into a copy of the Blue Slug. Now, if we were met with an Ash on that of the Blue Tang, we would not have Seahorse in grave, but it's fine because we'd have access to Mandarin, which is actually really good because we can revive it with Anemone to make that of the Sea Angel, and then we can just revive Mandarin again from the grave while getting around the restriction effect of Silent Angler. It really just all depends on whether our opponent feels like it's worth it or not to Ash a Cynet Mining. I guess another key factor in that would be whether or not we are in game 2 or 3 and they know exactly what we're playing. But either way, getting back to it, we're going to resolve our chain links here. Blue Tang 1, Blue Slug 2. We will target that of Blue Tang in our graveyard, and we're going to go ahead and add it to our hand, and then reveal the top 3, Solemn Strike, Silent Angler, and a copy of Pascalus. So we'll go ahead and take that as well. Now, the reason I didn't add Seahorse here or Mandarin off of this play, which we normally would do, is because we can not special summon monsters from the rest of our hand because of Silent Angler's restriction. So instead, I'm just going to get our key starter card ready for next turn back into our hand. Now here, we're going to link the Silent Angler and the Blue Slug for Marincess Coral Anemone. We're going to use Anemone to revive that of Mandarin. We'll link the Mandarin off for Sea Angel, and we're going to go ahead and Surge Battle Ocean. Look at that, all 3 waves stuck together right at the bottom. So once we finish shuffling up the deck here, we can keep the Ocean in hand for the time being. But next thing we can do is use Mandarin's Graveyard effect now to summon it to the zone that Sea Angel points to. And here we can link off the Sea Angel and the Mandarin for a copy of the Crystal Heart. We can go ahead and play the Battle Ocean here, link off the Anemone, link off the Crystal Heart. And what we can do now is either go for Marbled Rock or Bubble Reef, but I really do like Bubble Reef, so we'll go ahead and summon that. Chainlink 1 Anemone, Chainlink 2 Battle Ocean. We're going to go ahead and equip that of Crystal Heart, Anemone, and Blue Slug. And Anemone will add us back the Seahorse for next turn. We'll go ahead and set the Paleozoic Dynamiscus, and then during the opponent's turn, we can go ahead and banish the Silent Angler in our graveyard. Bubble Reef will gain 600. We'll draw an additional card, and we draw a Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. We already have one in our hand, so we can essentially just use this Ghost Ogre as discard fodder for our Dynamiscus, giving us 1, 2 interruptions right there with the unaffected Bubble Reef. Not so bad considering we have pretty much an entire army in our hand to do plays with next turn if they do clear this field. And if they do manage to get rid of our field spell or of our Bubble Reef, we can use the effect of Anemone here to recycle either the Battle Ocean to our hand or the Blue Slug back to our extra deck, whatever we really need in that current position. So not so bad if you ask me. Definitely could be better in terms of interruption, but overall a pretty solid test hand. Now that we've concluded our test hands, I'll go ahead and just piece out the build just to show you guys where I'm at with it currently. So here we have laid out my current build. It is 40 cards, I believe. You see we're on 3 Blue Tang, 3 Pascalus, 3 Seahorse, 2 Mandarin, 3 Shatana, 3 Silent Angler, 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Cynet Mining, 3 Call by the Grave, 3 Pot of Desires, 1 Battle Ocean, 3 Wave, 3 Dynamiscus, and 3 Solemn Strike. So this list is pretty standard. The only thing really I think different about it beforehand, I wasn't playing Silent Angler. I would believe I was playing a third Mandarin and 2 other trap cards in the form of Compulse. While I really did like Compulse and Trap Trick, I just really wanted to try out Silent Angler. And I do like Silent Angler because it is a very accessible water extender, and I guess it really depends on what you value more, whether it be more defensive cards or just more opportunities at seeing extenders that allow you to either start your play or build upon it and make it much better. But I can say, as of right now, I do like the Silent Angler and the Shithana paired together. It does force you to kind of change up the way you do your combos, because Silent Angler obviously will lock you out of special summoning from your hand for the rest of your turn. There are some instances where you can save the Angler, for a later part in the play, so you can use things like Mandarin or Seahorse. But in some cases, with this deck being so easily affected by Nibiru, you can go Angler with Shithana before you even use your normal summon to go into Totally Awesome, then follow up with the Blue Tang. I just wasn't lucky enough to open up that hand, I guess, in this entire test hand video or in other videos prior, but believe me, it is a possibility and is one of the benefits of playing these two guys together. Because like I showcased in this video already, if you do open up a copy of Angler and you do have access to something like Blue Tang, you can dump, instead of Seahorse, a copy of Mandarin, link off into Slug, add back the Tang, and then with an extender like Angler or Shithana, you can link into Anemone, revive Mandarin, Mandarin goes to Sea Angel, and then Mandarin just brings itself out from the grave, rather, from your hand. So you kind of just avoid Seahorse there. And just continue on that way. One card I might consider playing in here is a copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is starting to seem like it has more and more value within this deck, especially with the effects of Pascalis and the effects of Seahorse, especially in some hands, where you're not going to be, or you're going to be using cards like Silent Angler. I guess more so would be for Mandarin, since Pascalis and Seahorse have that restriction on it, where they can't use their effects during the same turn they're sent to the graveyard. I've heard some people say they like Foolish Burial Goods to be able to dump Wave to the graveyard, but I just don't like that so much because it really seems like that's its only purpose. It really doesn't exist to do much else other than to get Wave, and it can make bad hands worse. When I'd rather just, keep the deck as is and not try to cut anything else. The only thing else I guess I might try to change is the trap lineup. Like I said earlier, I was on 3 Trap Trick and 2 Compulse, and I wasn't running Strike, but I feel like Strike is just still a very powerful card. It negates and destroys the card, so it does offer, I guess, a form of removal in some sense, much like Compulse did. The only issue is that this card is not sort of reactive. We have to use it in response to something. We can't just, chain it whenever we want, I guess. It's not chainable defenses, I guess is the way I want to put it. The hand trap lineup, I do like at the moment. The triple Ogre, the triple Ash, then they just seem like they're a pretty good generic coverall against most of the meta. If anything, maybe I try to find a way to squeeze a few effect veilers in here, but even at that point, it just seems like I just don't know if I have the room exactly to do that. I'd like to keep it at a clean cut 40. I guess another card I might consider playing would be actually Blooming Dogwood, because it is a potential hand trap to help you win in the grind game that this deck can essentially excel at, and it's also a water, so if you happen to draw it with something like Silent Angler or Shithana, you can essentially start going into your combo that way, I guess, but that's a little bit of a stretch. But yeah, other cards I like in here would be potentially cards like Scriptron. Although if I were to play them here, I might only just play 2. When I was playing it, I really did like it as a decent extender. I wasn't playing Silent Angler, I was just playing 2 copies of Scriptron, and maybe I go back to that, but again, I really do like the rank 4 access that the Shithana and Angler offer. But then again, Pascalis and Blue Tang can sort of do the same thing, as you guys saw earlier in this video. But that's pretty much all I have to say about the main deck right now. We'll need a little bit more time with it to figure out if I really want to make any changes. If you guys have any, criticism, albeit constructive, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. Current extra deck, I am running the Access and Transcode Talker, as I do like this package quite a bit. It makes a lot of sense, especially since Marincess has had a hard time in the past ending games, and Splash Mage, Transcode, and Access make that easy. 1 Wonderheart, Bubble Reef, Marbled Rock, Splash Mage, 2 Anemone, 1 Crystal Heart, 2 Slug, 1 Sea Angel, 1 Dweller, 1 Bahamut, and 1 Totally Awesome. Like I said, that's really standard extra deck. I like it. I think there's a lot of utility in there, especially with Splash Mage giving you access to Transcode and Access Code, because it's sort of like Anemone that doesn't lock you into water, so it lets you, play outside of those boundaries. Again, it does lock you into Cyberse, but there's a lot better game-ending Cyberse cards than there are water cards as far as Link monsters are concerned. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to leave a like. Also, again, consider supporting the channel. It does help out quite a bit by using my discount code at ImperiumDuelist.com. At checkout, again, you guys can save 10% off your entire order on all of their amazing products, and there's, believe me, tons more products coming soon, especially in the winter season. Lots of great stuff on the way, I can assure you that. And guys, do not forget to use my affiliate link down in the description below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Marincess signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And of course, a huge thank you as always to my Divine Level channel members here on YouTube, Academic Thick, Travis Harris, and Zors. Thank you guys so much for your continued support.